What would you put in a time capsule, something to represent your era? A TV, a computer, a phone. For the ancient Egyptians, it was chests full of gold. 9 massive chests were discovered filled with enough precious metal to make Napoleon's eyes pop. But the gold wasn't in bars or coins or even jewelry. It was in something far more meaningful to them. Let's examine some of the most fascinating items found in these 9 chests, all of which were placed inside the walls of an ancient Egyptian fortress near the end of the New Kingdom, intended to be buried with the fortress as it fell. The diplomatic chest. First up, the biggest chest, also made of imported cedar wood inlaid with ivory and blue faience, contained not gold, but meticulously rolled diplomatic correspondence. Written in hieratic on pristine papyrus, these were letters exchanged between a high-ranking official identified as the king's son of Cush, user Mater, likely a royal prince, and a contemporary Hittite king. Importantly, these letters are not part of the famous peace treaty of Ramesses II, and the earlier ones even predate that treaty. They detail secret negotiations afterward, discussing border disputes, royal marriage proposals, and trade concessions. The discovery of the treaty itself was sensational, but these letters show how difficult diplomacy can be. Even after a peace treaty, there's still endless bickering over details. And this pharaoh wasn't even the one you'd expect. While we think of Ramesses II as a great warrior, he was also a prolific letter writer, keeping up a massive diplomatic correspondence with his neighbors. He sent this guy to do his dirty work. The king's son had a noble title, hereditary prince, great of praises, strong bull, beloved by Ra. But he wasn't the heir apparent. That would have been his older brother, the future Akhenaten, who became infamous for his radical religious reforms. So why send a young heir on such an important mission? Perhaps Ramesses wanted to get this son out of the capital and away from any power struggles. Or maybe he had some unorthodox plans for the troublesome Akhenaten and wanted to ensure his brother didn't meddle. The royal wardrobe. Next, several sealed jars contained exquisitely preserved royal garments. Not just everyday linen, mind you, but intricately pleated ceremonial robes dyed with Tyrian purple, the kind only royalty could afford. There were also leather sandals with gold leaf accents, and even a childess beaded collar bearing the cartouche of a minor pharaoh whose reign was barely known. Hatshepsut's daughter, Nefertari, was only 2 years old when she died. Her father, Thutmose III, succeeded her and erased her from history, removing her name and even defacing her image on temple walls. But here was tangible proof that she existed, a tiny piece of her collar, perhaps from a royal nurse's uniform or a doll, showing that she really was the princess. Whoever packed this stash clearly had access to the royal court and may have even worked there. These were not valuable items meant to last millennia, but things a royal tailor or jeweler might have thrown away after finishing an assignment. This suggests that the collection was made over many years until whoever was collecting these items suddenly couldn't anymore. Was it a royal wardrobe attendant gathering souvenirs from famous outfits until they were purged from the court? Or a young official impetuously filling their jar until they had to flee for their life? The serpent's coil text. Tucked into a niche was a small, unassuming stele just 8 inches tall, made of black schist, an igneous rock usually used for tombs. It depicted a coiled cobra, or uraeus, protecting a royal named Cartouche that was deliberately chiseled out. In its mouth, the cobra grasped a crook and flail, symbols of the pharaoh's royal authority. Around it, the hieroglyphic text was a unique hymn to the goddess Wadjet, protector of Lower Egypt, but some phrases stood out. Instead of celebrating the pharaoh's victories, it mentions guarding the name in shadow and preserving the line when the sun is obscured. This was not a celebratory monument, but a magical one, intended to protect the forgotten monarch's legacy. Someone had vandalized the stele by removing the cartouche and defacing the hieroglyphs, but then changed their mind and decided to preserve it anyway, tucking it into a secret place where it wouldn't be lost. Who was this mysterious ruler, and why was their memory being guarded? Unfortunately, we don't know. The stele was badly damaged, and the missing cartouche could contain the answer. Some scholars believe it belonged to a minor pharaoh whose obscure reign was erased from history, like a female pharaoh named Nitocris, who legend said drowned the Nile Delta in blood after being insulted. Others believe it could be a deliberately subversive act by a royal heretic, someone who believed the pharaoh had been unjustly removed, and wanted to keep their bloodline intact so they could reclaim the throne. The craftsman's hoard. Finally, Smaller chests contained the personal tools and unfinished works of royal artisans, chisels with bone handles, a half-carved alabaster vase, lumps of unworked lapis lazuli and carnelian, and a set of delicate gold wire earrings. This was not treasure, it was evidence of a royal workshop's emergency evacuation. Perhaps during a riot, an invasion, a sudden political purge, the craftsmen hastily fled, never to return. Their tools were tossed into a hiding place with their finest materials and works in progress. One tool chest belonged to Nagt, overseer of goldsmiths, with his name inscribed on each chisel and hammer. Imagine finding a set of antique tools in an abandoned house or studio, knowing they belonged to a master craftsman who vanished along with their masterpiece. That's the story held within each piece of debris, a silent testament to lives cut short by a collapsing kingdom. There's nothing quite like unearthing a historical mystery from inside a buried treasure chest. Thank you for watching.